After soul searching and digging, it is now official. You want to be a CASA. But now, it's third year, and things are proving difficult, to say the least. Fast forward to the end of the year. Exam results are out. You failed. The year, that dream, it all feels like it has shattered to pieces. Maybe this CA thing's not for you. How do you hold on to your vision when failure convinces you it's no longer yours? Today, we are joined by Simoné Rosslee, CASA, RA, and partner at PKF Octagon. We chat about how her journey through failure throughout her career has been one of the keys to her resounding success. We also chat about why the CA designation can be the key to your dreams, her journey to partnership, why speed is more important than accuracy in decision making, how to get promoted quicker in your career, and more. Guys, I hope you enjoy. My travel is on the road to CASA. Women's Month is coming to a close, but we're going to end it off with a bang. We've got some lacquer stuff ahead of us. The first thing that I want to share is in the description, in the show notes, there is a Psycha Blue Table talk for women in the CA space, trainees and CAs and AGASAs that are blazing trails, showing us a little bit of their perspective. It is such a great Blue Table talk that Psycha did. It'll be linked in the show notes. Check it out. We have some great CAs there. Aspiring CAs showcasing our brilliance. And secondly, today's episode is nothing short of, I would say, utterly excellent. You are going to love Simoné. You're going to love this episode. If you have not already checked out the Women's Month editions, please check out this past month's episodes. With that, on to the show. Welcome back, my people. This is the Road to CA podcast, the show for aspiring chartered accountants to inspire, empower, and inform the difference makers of tomorrow, guys. Today, guys, we are joined by a rock star. Yes, she is a CASA and RA registered auditor and a whole audit partner, guys. Like, that's crazy, at PKF Octagon here in Joburg. But she's also so much more than just that. She's one of those interesting souls in the CA profession. Most importantly, though, she likes DIY. She loves to travel. She likes to read, to cook, and loves gardening. We're joined by the youngest audit partner I've ever met in my entire life. We're joined by Simoné Rosslee. Simoné, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I said I was excited, and I'm telling the truth because I think this conversation has been manifesting in my mind for a while. You spoke at UP back in 2024, last year, and I thought you were so interesting. You know, there's the misconception that a CA is like this, right? Yeah. They are in a specific image, but you just immediately you broke that mold for me. So I'm excited.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share my story and hopefully inspire one or two people with my story.
I actually love that you said one or two people.
Yeah.
Because, and this is the power of podcast, it really only needs to be one person.
Yeah.
Because the podcast and the medium is just so close, it's so intimate, it can change their entire life. Literally just this one conversation. So, let's go change some lives, Simoné. You wanted to be an artist and a fashionista back before you went into this CA profession. But But let's rewind, right? Let's
Yeah.
go all the way back to where CA started for you.
Yeah, I think I didn't always dream of becoming a CA, but I think I was fortunate enough to land on this path. Initially, I really wanted to be a fashion designer. I love dressing up. I love changing my look. I love creating and doing something different and creative. And I went to my parents and I said, this is what I want to do. And my dad said to me, my girl, all due respect, that's not a real degree. You can do that once you've got a real degree, but have something to underpin all of those life dreams that you've got. You want to become a fashion designer? No problem. Go do something that will help you to run a business to do that. And he said to me basically, I think that you'll be good in business. And I said to him, why, Dad? He said, well, I see you here on the streets wheeling and dealing, always making money out of your friends, like always doing something to make more money or like not asking us for money for that new outfit that you want, but going to get it, and he said to me, you're really good at making money. And I think BCom would be perfect for you. So I said, right, what's the best in BCom? And that was at the time becoming a CA. So off I went and I haven't looked back.
Sure.
Yeah.
I actually like that insight, that wisdom from your father was incredible.
Yeah.
Because when you're young, you don't know a lot about reality. And so, yes, it's important to have a dream, but it's also important to know what the real path could be towards that dream.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was this one, he's an entrepreneur from the UK, and he's a content creator now. His name's Simon Squibb. He goes around all over the UK and all over wherever he frequents on the streets and does these little interviews on what are people's dream. He goes and asks you, what's your dream? What's your dream? What's your dream? And he's always giving this advice. And one of the biggest pieces of wisdom that I learned from him was, you must learn how to finance your dream.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what CA is so prime for. I believe we live in now a space where we can now find that ideal articles that's for us. We can find the ideal place of work that's for us, culture. It's a very different time to 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. We can dream.
Yeah.
And through CA, you can learn how to, finance or just pursue that dream.
Yeah. It's amazing when I look at the guys that I did articles with, that I started my articles with, and where they are now. A lot of them are overseas, and that was their dream. A lot of people are doing nothing to do with CASA. They in the learnership space and that kind of thing. And this is not a clear-cut path to becoming an FD or an audit partner. There's so much diversity in this profession. And it's basically principles that you learn that can take you into any business, and help you with any entrepreneurial dream that you've got, which is amazing. Yeah.
Because like finance it's an axiom. It's an axis of the world.
Yeah.
Like when we think of different professions, not to knock anyone, but a doctor, doesn't know everything about, or doesn't know something about everything.
Yeah.
A lawyer does know something about everything because everything has to be sort of channeled through the law.
Yeah.
An engineer also, problem solving. Everything needs a problem to be solved. And also, I think a finance professional. So I would not to be reductive, but just from now us talking, I would say those three are the only three where you see everything. Maybe also quant people like data analysts and actuaries. Yeah, that's also, and mathematicians. They also know everything, something about everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, CA is one of those. I feel like if you can just choose between something where you'll know something about everything, that's like a good place where you're not sure to start.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
let's rewind a little bit further back to matric. When you mentioned that one of your greatest achievements that you felt was passing science because it was a particularly tough topic back in matric, and I also want to just quickly go back there and then fast forward to your CTA year, right, which is another incredibly tough period that you passed. But you also, I want to quickly like zero in on the fact that you almost gave up.
Yeah.
But you didn't.
Yeah.
And I have this theory that persistence was preceded by evidence that your persistence would lead to success. I'm a big believer that a lot of people, they just don't know that if they just stuck to it, at the other end is success. They don't have the evidence. They just don't, like, it's just not a thing that they intrinsically believe. And so that's why when someone sends a message to someone and maybe they get blue ticked, or they try and they sell to someone for the first time and they get rejected, they get told no, they feel like they will never get it. But no does not mean never.
Yes.
And I remember listening to this one podcast with another CA, he's the founder of Old School. He was on another podcast, and he said that there's a much higher likelihood, statistically even, that you will get a yes after 3 no's. Because, like, if you just play it out, like, please, can I quickly get some of your time? No. Please, sir, I promise you, it's not going to be a problem. In fact, can I just take 30 seconds into no, and then you try again, no, and then I promise you, you don't even have to tell them that you gave me their email. Maybe yes.
Yeah.
You might get something if you try.
Exactly. Persistence is key.
Did you have evidence in CTA?
I didn't. I didn't, but I think at the end of the day, if you don't have hope, what do you have? Right? Like, I had to believe, I had to have a positive mindset that this year that I spent, which I think my first year was a very depressing kind of year, was not in vain. That's, for me, I had to believe that. And I think the power of a positive mindset is really important. Yes, you've gone through this tough year, but maybe it's to prepare you for the following year. And I actually believe that, in my personal opinion, CTA is not a 1-year course. I believe CTA is actually a 2-year course. So the amount of information that you have to absorb is just so vast, so great, that I think it's a challenge, but I do believe that it's a 2-year course, and the fact that I failed is not necessarily a reflection of my intelligence or a reflection of
even your work ethic.
Yeah, my ability or the human that I am. It just means that something went wrong, and we just need to hone in on what went wrong and correct that. And you know what? Actually, you're in a better position to fix it, because now you know what went wrong. So now you can say, right, these are the things that didn't work for me last year. And now I can design a lifestyle, a working technique, a study method that works for me, right? So it's actually a positive. Having failed the first time is going to give you such a better chance to pass the second time, because now you know what you're in for, and now you can prepare right from the start to do it differently and do it in a way that will work for you.
That's such a more effective way to approach the second time, because I think there is a temptation to look at the second time as, I have to go through CTA again.
Yeah.
There's that temptation because it is tough. It is tough.
Yes.
And it wasn't easy that second time, even though you obviously had more wisdom, you had more feedback, you knew you had a better strategy. It was still tough. And I really do also believe that there's always going to be two sides. There's the pessimistic and there's the optimistic
Yeah.
side. And it's a lot more effective, I think, in times of hardship to
Yeah.
operate from optimism as opposed to from the opposite, pessimism.
Yeah. I think that's really what made me pass the second time, is I believed that I would pass that time round. The first time round, I said, well, I'm going to give it my best shot. And I think that in itself, not saying openly, I will pass, means that you don't believe it. And I think that counts in your disfavor, because then whatever you're doing, it feels like an uphill climb. It doesn't feel like, it might just be one test, but for you it feels like, trekking Everest. It's about your mindset, and I think that the second time round was what led me to passing, was having a better mindset around it.
Where did you take that from, that mindset? Was it from home?
So my personality archetype is actually a solutionist. If you look at what your kind of personality is, and my personality just goes to naturally, right, something went wrong, let's not focus on the negative, let's focus on fixing it. So what I did was I kind of analyzed everything that went wrong. And I think part of it's becoming too emotional and too stressed about things. So, I just, to the best of my ability, took the emotion out of it and just said, well, this is the tasks that you have to get done in order to pass. You have to get these done, and believing in my plan at the time and just doing those things helped me to take the negative out of it, and I think that was what led me to pass eventually. It was quite amazing. Like, I think a positive mindset makes the world of difference. So, and having a plan, knowing where you're going, it's really important.
Having a plan, knowing where you're going. So then, when did you find that CA was your thing? Because it didn't start off like that.
No, not at all. So I think my second time round, I also changed the way I studied, and I approached everything to say, this is the last time I'm studying this. I'm looking at something, and this is the last time I'm doing it. And I started doing auditing, and I tried to really understand what it is we're doing, why we're doing it. And I started really enjoying it, because once again, I'm a solutionist, so there's a problem, right? We don't know how to verify X, Y, Z. How do we find the solution? What do we do? And in doing that, I realized that it's actually not hard work. I spent very little time on auditing because I really understood the principles. And I realized this is something that I can see myself doing, because it was easy, but it's something that I really enjoyed. It was almost like that little bit of creative side that you got from me wanting to become a fashion designer and creating and that kind of thing. There is, to a certain extent, creativity in this field, even in finance and becoming an entrepreneur, that kind of thing. But I saw that it was different. It wasn't like a question and an answer. There was a different way around it, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed applying myself. I enjoyed thinking about the problem and kind of solving it. And that's kind of where it started, and I really enjoyed it, and it just grew from there.
And so you only found that interest in auditing in CTA.
Yeah.
That's also very interesting.
Second CTA.
Second CTA.
So 6 years in, essentially.
6 years in, you only found out, I actually would consider this, which is very interesting, because I think a large part of it, so when I failed in 2023 and I repeated in 2024 last year, I found that a lot of the issue was also tactically, the real reason was that I didn't know why I was here, but tactically, it was that I didn't give it a real chance. I didn't get down to the real issue. I didn't grapple with where this learning could go. I'm a very practical person, so I want to see like the value that this thing will add. I don't just want to be all up in knowledge acquisition. I want to see how this could maybe help someone or myself. And so actually when you give these topics a try, they are valuable.
Yeah.
They really are.
They are. And I think it's a pity because people in CTA don't really get access to partners, to FDs, and see what they do and how they apply what they've learned and create value for shareholders, help whomever they're busy servicing at the time. We don't always get to see that. And I think it's such a pity because I personally believe that I would have probably studied harder and absorbed more had I known kind of like what you could do for a client. And I think even in articles, sometimes people, they only start seeing the bigger picture in their third year. And I think it's something that we as a profession need to probably start working on is communicating that in a bigger way. But also like where it ends, there's a lot of success out there. And sometimes I think we get despondent because we don't see the lifestyles or the good work that people are doing.
I say, and this is the slogan of the podcast, it will begin in CASA. And the big reason why I say that specifically is when we look at that slogan or that hashtag, it will end in CASA. It's all trending. It will end. What we forget is that there's a thing that the CA is meant to achieve, or there's an end to this CA. This is actually a means to an end. It's a tool. CA is not a job title. I think a lot of people come in to the degree with the misconception that CA is a job title. It's not. It's a designation. It's a professional body. It's a network. And so the reason why it's so important to look beyond is so that you can see the possibilities of your CA. It's not just about having 4 letters. It's about what is the impact that these 4 letters can create for my life and for the life of others.
100%.
Yeah.
And it really is, like the change maker that you are as a CASA is vast. It doesn't matter where you are, but usually you help a lot of people, you look after a lot of people, and it's a blessing.
You are the youngest partner I've ever met. Can you walk us through? Yeah, it was like a 5-year journey since you joined this firm. Yeah. Can you walk us through that journey? Like, firstly, how and why?
So I started at PKF Octagon 5 years, almost 6 years ago now. And I came in as a supervisor, and I kind of hopped along between other firms, and I was looking for a home, and I just couldn't find the home that I fit in, right? And I was looking on the internet one day. I think it was on LinkedIn, and a job position popped up. I wasn't really looking, but I knew somebody here, and I contacted them, and I said, I see that you guys are looking. Do you mind if I send you my CV and you can have, put in a good word for me? And they did. And I think, firstly, why am I still with PKF? I truly love the culture. I truly do. I do not have the partners that I work around, they are so amazing. We spoke earlier about imposter syndrome, and I think I do tend to get a little bit of imposter syndrome, and Our managing partner, Valdek, often just checks me. He's like, stop it. You are amazing in your own right. That's why you're here. Stop with that negative thoughts. So that's the community and the togetherness that we've got here is, it's just something else. The people make the business. So that's why I'm here. In terms of how I got here, so I started as a supervisor. I was a supervisor for about, I think, a year and a half, a manager for about a year, and then I became an associate director for roughly 2 years, and then got promoted as partner.
Sure.
But yeah, I think what really helped me along this journey was I got some advice from a mentor when I was still in my articles. I think first year or second year, and it's words that never left me. They said, if you want to progress in life and in business, you always aim to the next level. So if you are an audit supervisor, you already start doing the work of an audit manager. And so on. And that's how you will progress in life. So, yeah, I think I was fortunate because my partners gave me an amazing opportunity to do whatever I liked. Like I would set up strat sessions with all my managers and pull them, into a restaurant and do like a half-day thing.
Sure.
And they just allowed me to kind of run with it, like start doing some of the functions that they weren't getting to. I didn't ask. I just said, right, needs to get done. Even though it's not my job, I will do this because I see myself at the top, and what better time to learn than now? So, yeah, that's kind of how my journey worked. And I think it was the right place at the right time because they needed leadership. There was going to be an opening within the partnership quite soon. So, and our business is growing insurmountably. So, I think it was just, I was very fortunate with where I ended up and at what time.
Sure. That is so huge, because it also gets into an idea that I've been thinking about of where growth lies. Growth doesn't lie, contrary to how we study. When you think about even financial analysis, you're looking at historical financials in order to see, financial growth between year on year, between the years. But growth doesn't lie in the past. Contrary to that, growth lies in looking beyond the balance sheet, beyond the income statement. It actually it lies in that next level. And that's why this gets into another idea. Jimmy Carr, he's a UK comedian. He says that imposter syndrome is a very good thing. And he says that if you don't feel imposter syndrome every 12 to 18 months, there's a problem. It's because it means, and now I'm sort of getting as well why you have this imposter syndrome. It means you're not doing things that are on that next level. Yeah. That level that's beyond you. And I feel like imposter syndrome is actually a very positive thing in a lot of ways, because if you don't feel the imposter syndrome in a room full of brilliant people, because it's your first time there, then there's a problem. Yeah. Because you should feel a little bit uncomfortable. If I'm this young CA and I'm with all these CAs who have had all this experience, I should feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, I read this quote today that said, if you're the most intelligent person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Yeah.
That sums it up. And so that's why it's so important as well to also be doing things that you've never done. Yeah. Or doing things that are beyond your level. Yeah. Because if you actually even think about the promotion conversation, you don't want to have it at the end of the year. No. You want to be thinking about it. You want to be doing things in accordance with that from the beginning, maybe even the year before. You need to be thinking about, what do they want me to do over this year for me to have the conversation at the end and for me to have a case. Simoné, this is a bit of a change of pace, right? So there were quotes that I noted from you that were really interesting. So I'm just going to say them, and then you're going to elaborate on them. So does that sound good?
Yeah.
Cool. It's not about knowing everything. It's about knowing the trigger points.
Yeah.
I loved it when you said that.
Yeah, I think, none of your clients are going to come to you and ask you, did you get 100% for auditing, 100% for tax? No. And I think our industry is changing in such a way that they actually don't want you to know everything. Gone are the days where you want a one-stop shop where your partner is your tax advisor, he's your drafter, he's your auditor, he helps with the accounts, he helps with corporate finance. In today's time, it's a time of specialists. And, they see more value when they come to a business and they say, right, Sim, I need help with a tax opinion on X. And I refer them to somebody that's all they do every day is look at, maybe transfer pricing, that's their specialist field. They'll feel a lot more comfortable with sitting with an Antonia than with me because I know the basics of transfer pricing, but it is such a specialist field and it's naive of me to think that I'm going to know everything about transfer pricing. My specialist field is auditing, and that's kind of where I play. But my firm is a well-rounded firm, and they can give any client whatever expertise they need within the financing industry. So I just need to understand, as something comes across my table, when to bring in the specialists, and hand that stuff over. I think it's just knowing enough so that you don't get yourself in trouble.
They used to say, I think it's slowly on its way out as a given truth or an accepted truth, but knowledge is power. Now it's more specialized knowledge is power, but even further than that, it's actually more about specialized knowledge applied. And the power today, which I think, specialized knowledge is absolutely the thing that we want in today's knowledge worker world. But now, where the quote unquote generalist, not to say that you should be a generalist, but I think that generalists can still somewhat thrive. Where they can thrive is where they know where to find the knowledge. And knowing where to find the knowledge is a lot of what we're learning. It's judgment. It's effectively judgment. And that's something that you have to build through experience and through a lot of that rigorous academic training that we go through. But we need to learn how to think critically, which is a lot of what we're doing today. And you don't necessarily have to know everything. You might just need to know the trigger points.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the profession is built on that lifelong learning. There's a reason that we have to continuously do training and develop, is because we know that you're not going to know everything by the time you leave CTA. And there's so many changes all the time. So 100%, I pride myself on being a generalist. And I can very easily, I don't know the IFRS offhand, but, I flip open the IFRS and I go find the answer very quickly because I've been tasked with the tools to do it. I don't necessarily have to take it to my technical team or my IFRS team to get the answer. I can do it myself.
Meta skills are actually more fundamental, therefore more important than specific skills.
Yeah.
The skill of learning how to learn, the skill of knowing how to do the research to build your case, the skill of looking at a thing and being able to deconstruct it. These are like meta, but they're actually the skills that push you forward.
Yeah.
Part of being a partner is failing. Ooh, this one is like, what? Partner fail? What?
Yeah, I think part of being human is failing, and the auditing industry is very regulated in South Africa, which is a good thing. It helps us grow, but that also does mean that, you know, what you think is the best practice right now might not be the best practice tomorrow. And so it is a continuous learning experience, but I think also, like, as a human, being okay with failing is really important, because that's the only way you're going to grow. It's the only way you're going to grow. If you are too scared to make the decision, you'll stagnate. So as a director that's really in charge of propelling this business forward, any director should be able to make the decisions with knowing that there's a chance of failure, because essentially you just will never grow if you don't. So yeah.
There's always a chance of failure.
Yeah.
There is always, in anything, even the quote-unquote safe path, there's a chance of failure. And it even got me thinking about Jeff Bezos's big advice on decision making. So Amazon is structured such that it is, even at its huge, colossal size, a very fast decision organization. They've kept that small business nimbleness and speed of decision making at even their corporate level. And he says that a lot of the problem with big corporates is their speed of decision making. And it's better to make a fast decision that could be wrong than to make a right decision that is slow, because over the, let's call it over the 10 years of making fast decisions, you made, let's call it 1,000 decisions, just for this case as an example. And then over the 10 years of the slow decisions, you've made 100 decisions. If 50% of the decisions failed, then you've got 500 successful decisions. And then if 50% of the decisions failed here, or rather, let's call it even 100% of the decisions succeeded, then you've got 100. So 500 versus 100. Obviously, the one who's failing is succeeding.
Yeah.
And it's important to look at your life as also a place where you need to make quicker decisions if you want to grow.
Yeah.
Like, and be ready to fail.
Yeah.
Because even in that mental model of with whatever job you're in, the growth is in the next phase. That means you're going to have to do things you've never done. And therefore you're going to make mistakes. You will fail.
Yeah.
And so that has its associated risks, and you will definitely make a mistake. But I mean, if it means you'll become partner in 5 years, maybe it's worth it.
There's power in failure, because if you didn't try the first time and failed, you wouldn't know what to do better the next time, right? So yeah, I think in general, failure shouldn't be looked at in a negative context. I actually love failure. It drives me. It drives me forward. I don't think without the failure I would have been here today, because I've gotten so used to failure that I just get up, dust myself off, and keep going forward. And you own your failure. Just own it. It took me 6 years to get my degree, but I honestly believe that I've got so much knowledge now because of it. Like, I've learned how to fail, and I've learned like this little bit of a boost for myself. If I didn't fail back then, I think I would have been more scared today to make the decisions, and it's really been to my favor, that failure. But also, at the end of the day, you only have to get the basics right. You don't have to get 100%. You have to get the fundamentals right. And a lot of the fear of failure comes from perfectionism. So if you get 80% of the things right, I listened to a podcast the other day, and they said a similar thing where they used to take 2 to 3 months to put out a test, and they said they had to get faster. Then they took 1 month, and they said they had to get faster. Eventually they did the test in 2 weeks, and the test wasn't perfect. There were spelling mistakes, but the results of the tests of a 2-month test versus a 2-week test,
the same.
It was the same. They knew if they had a good result or not, because they got the basics right. And they still achieved what they wanted to achieve, even though the test wasn't perfect. So it's important about knowing what to get right, and then taking it from there.
Knowing what to get right. I think that's a lot of the bottleneck, because people will focus on useless things.
Yeah.
Highlighting.
Yeah.
Highlighting. I remember in podcasting, people knowing the right things. People will ask, because I'm on a lot of podcasting groups and places, and I get a lot of insights on it. People will ask about what the ideal release time is. And I think, although it does depend on the podcast, I think they're just missing the plot. There's actual fundamentals that everyone's missing, which are very basic. They're not rocket science. Consistency. Are you doing it every week for 3 years straight? Let's start there. And if you're not, then there's where you start. You can start there.
Getting the basics right. Your content, all kinds of things like that. Now, I agree with you. I think sometimes we want to perfect everything, but there's beauty in imperfection. And as a profession, what we struggle with that. We are inherently perfectionists, but I think there is value in it. I think we've gotten to a place in the world where everything needs to be perfect, and failure is not allowed, and we need to stop that stigma. It's get the basics right and take it from there.
If you could condense your first year as partner down to one word, what would that word be?
Learning. Learning. I said earlier that, the way that you grow is by always performing at the next level. But until you're doing or performing that function, you never really know what they're doing. So it's been an amazing year of learning and growing, and and I'm really excited for the next year, because I feel like it's just going to continue. It's just, there's still a lot for me to grapple with and help my clients with, but that's the biggest thing is a true learning experience.
There's a great misconception that the greatest CEOs, the greatest business people, the greatest in any fields, they are not students. But they are the greatest students. They are always learning. There's a fallacy that the greatest people know everything and therefore have stopped learning. But it's the opposite, especially in today's fast-moving, changing world.
Yeah.
And even in such a growing organization, when there's growth, you must know there's a lot of learning that's required because, as we said, growth is outside of you. And so they're literally even just hiring a new employee.
Yeah.
Let's even think about that. You have to understand what that employee is going to come and do. They have to have a job spec. Therefore, they have to have competencies. Therefore, they have to also have specific duties and specific even backgrounds. Like there's just a whole lot that has to do with it that if you've never considered, like for an example, if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, you've never considered what it takes in order to have someone join your team, you're going to have to learn.
Yeah. It's the aspects that you deal with that you would never think of, like HR aspects, like you've mentioned. There's so much, even just public speaking, which was something that that was very daunting for me in the beginning. Now I do it on a monthly basis, So I think there was a lot of learning, and I think there's going to be a continuous amount of learning for the next 2 or 3 years.
If you could go back to first year, second year, maybe even high school, Simoné, what would you tell her?
Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. I don't think if I had to tell my varsity self or even matric self that this is where I would have ended up, I would have never believed it. So I think I would have learned self-love and believing in myself just much younger. I think it took time for me to get here, but I wish I did a long time ago. There's a lot of time wasted in doubting yourself. You could spend that time so much better, improving yourself, working on yourself, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we waste time doubting ourselves because I'd argue that you always had what it took to be a partner.
Maybe.
You always did. Because at the end of the day, it is that disposition of learning. It's the skill of being able to take in all this information that you learned in CTA. But it's like you just being yourself and, learning how to give the value that you get every day. Like you're just learning it now. That's all you do.
Yeah.
Like what has really changed since 5 years ago about you?
Not much. I mean, I've in terms of professional, I've learned a great deal, but on a personal level, or not that much. More, I think the only change that I can say is tangible is wanting to be better every day as a human being, as a leader, as a teacher, just wanting to be better. And I've been very fortunate that my partners saw from while I was a supervisor that I needed help with certain things, and they got me the help that I needed. And so I think I was just very fortunate to be able to work on the things that I needed help with. But other than that, I think my grit and determination has always been there. It's always, been there. I just maybe didn't believe in myself as much as I do now.
So yeah, I think it's perfect. Looking back, advice to young Simoné out there in first year or high school or second year to know or just think about it as what we see it as a little bit of a waste of time. That you actually have a lot of what it takes.
Yeah.
And I would actually add that maybe you just need to go and find good people that spur you on and see you for who you are, which is someone who's hungry, who's brilliant,
Yeah.
who can do it.
Yeah.
Guys, if you've not already, please, follow this. This was an absolute pleasure. In fact, you could probably subscribe since we're also on YouTube now. Is there anything else, Simoné, that you want to leave aspiring CAs out there with?
I think what I've realized lately is we young trainees and students, they're so scared of failure. Please don't be scared of it. Learn from it. See it as an opportunity, not a negative. You are in such a better position to succeed once you failed. So just keep on keeping on.
See that fortune in the failure, guys. I hope it does not end, but that it begins in CASA. Simoné, thank you.
Thank you.